As the cookie crumbles. So
Hey, that was about 4 cookies till Lee and Robert rolled them up and stuck them in her damn pocketbook.
They're tasty.
I said, "You thief!" And she said, "You told me to do it."
You mean to tell me I've been eating ill-conceived cookie crumbles?
Oh, hell no.
Just partially.
Hell no.
Just partially ill-conceived.
No, they said it. They said anybody that wants anything else left over here, come over here and get it. And the cookies were there.
How can you prove that was actually cookies at the time?
That's
How
right.
can
That's a good question,
Can
Gary.
you
That's a good.
reconstitute and reconstruct the said cookie material?
Nope. That's like Humpty Dumpty, man.
I'm a cookie cracker.
You cannot put that back together.
You cannot put that together. By no
You
means.
caught that.
At all.
What we're talking about. This man is the neighbor, and he's partially.
It has to be diagnosed yet.
Yeah, don't touch him, Gary.
We are having a good time tonight.
Oh, this is too much.
Coming towards
I will tell you, these are
flaming
the
away
best
out there.
cookie crumbs I ever had, too.
I wish I would have made cookies. I just don't got no butter.
You know what?
No butter.
No butter.
I'm gonna share your cookie crumbs.
Absolutely, they're delicious. It's really good seeing you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. Jeff.
What, you recording?
Yeah, I got about 14 minutes left.
Let's play some music.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I want to hear that song you just played again with the drum and everything. Let's do it again. Okay?
Don't blame the junk.
Ben said he would.
Don't blame the junkie.
Yeah, is that the name of it? Don't blame the junkie.
Don't blame the junkie. He has to film it.
Yeah.
The Byron one.
And all right, y'all, I am rolling.
Let me get over here out of the way.
Don't try to run, don't try to hide. Your suits and ties won't cover up your lies. Don't you smile, I know all the while you got a demon inside. me, there ain't nothing else. I don't care about the money, I don't care about the drugs, I only care about you and a Lord up above. So when the weather in your life, you know it starts to get frightful, don't get spiteful, no, don't go for your rifle. Just try to help somebody else feel alright, and wrap your mind around the fact there's things you can't control in life. Don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, please. Don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, please. Don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, please. Don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, don't blame the junkie, please.
That was sweet, y'all. That was sweet.
We got enough for another one?
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Come on by to the Maconga city limits. That's where you're gonna see Diane Durant.
My company sells Rockwell Enhanced GPS. Yeah.
All right, my name is Newton Collier. And welcome everyone to the show tonight. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Macon, Georgia, 1945, July 23rd. And right around that time I was coming up in the city hospital. My parents were living out in the Tyndall Hike area, actually called Tyndall Field. As you see today, we have Tyndall Hike, but below it was a bunch of houses, a lot of houses down there. Just now, our house is just about at the end of the soccer field, in Tyndall Field. When I got to be about 5 years old, my parents moved to Prince Street and Campbell Avenue. They bought a house there. I started school at B.S. Ingram High School. And I went all the way through to the 7th grade. About the 6th grade, I started getting a lot of interest in music because I had been taking piano lessons in the beginning. And I fell in love with piano. I was about 10 years old. I was taking lessons, and one of my teachers was Miss Gladys Williams. She was a band director, a female band director in Macon. And happened to be going to her house one day, and at her house, in front of her house, was a big Rolls Royce, which belonged to Sammy Davis Jr. This is during the time he had his eye put out. They were all friends from back in the day. And so I had to take lessons, and I heard them and her playing a couple of songs. And that's when I found out that he was a trumpet player. And by that time, I got interested in the horn because I was impressed in meeting him first of all, and then that he was a horn player. So I asked my mother to buy me one, and she eventually did. And I kept playing, and I kept staying with Miss Gladys for piano for a while. Then I started going to the Booker T. Washington Center. they had band classes over there, music classes. And Mr. Robert Scott was the director and band at Battle Hustle at that time, and he was the teacher there. So I learned a lot just by being in that band class. And by the time I got to the 7th grade, I was already actually playing the trumpet sort of fairly well. Because another thing that helped me out was when I come home from school, Johnny Jenkins and the Pine Toppers, which actually at the time was called the Panthers, and they would practice across the street from my aunt's house. And I could sit on the porch, and I could hear them playing. They had a trumpet player that was named Sammy Coleman. And Sammy would sort of play loud, and I could hear what they were playing. I couldn't go over there because I was too young. My mother was just, you have to understand, my mother and my aunt, they were school teachers. So I was going over there with all the women and men and hanging out that were much older than me anyway. And so I just had to bear it and just stay over there and listen. So Sammy Coleman took a liking to me, started teaching me some of the chords and progressions in which he was playing. And so I had to just sit back and do what he had to do. So I learned a lot by him. And plus those guys were all professional guys. They were in the Air Force band. Sammy Coleman and a couple more. And now I'm talking to maybe about early 60. I'm good enough now, and I'm in high school. And you hear about a new studio coming into town, Macon Recording Studio. It's run by a man named Bobby Smith under King. King had given them the authorization. Also, King was the parent company for James Brown organization. They had Roy Orbison, James Brown. I can remember Oscar Tony Jr. was their main artist. But what happened was they went to the high school and wanted young kids to come and round out some of the music which was going on. Now they had these guys from the Air Force band playing. So now that I fit in, because I could easily read the music, and I had been studying under some of these same Air Force guys that were playing these sessions. So I just fit right in. I wasn't playing no lead part, I played like second and third parts. And it was easy for me, and it was interesting, and I learned a lot about studio, and I listened to these guys, I learned how to arrange, and how they were charting in the music with different sounds. They were basically using it and producing a lot of local artists, like Oscar Mack, James Duncan, Ronnie Miller. We had a bunch of girls used to come through. And they all came from all around Middle Georgia. This is all in their 60s. Just about 64, 65, Otis Redding started coming, 63, Otis Redding was in the studio over there. And well, we know that part became history because they took some of those tracks and went to stacks with it and so forth. And then another interesting thing happened to me was to meet a guy named Wayne Cochran. He had a band called the CC Riders. And the CC Riders ended up being Bobby Smith's actual band. So I got a chance to play with those guys. Those guys were from all over. They could really play. I remember mostly with Sparky and Neil Hankey and Tom Baker. I remember them the most. Oh yeah, Kenny Smith was in that band also. He's in Macon now. Then myself, Arline, Kevin Arline, Charles Bird, Johnny Wilson. We were all from Macon, Georgia, along with Clarence Riley, who went on to play with Otis Redding and Sam and Dave like I did later on. But what happened in between that was working in the studio gave you the basis of being on the road, because these guys will tell you all kinds of stuff to do, when to do it, how to make a sound pat, how to back up on a sound. All this was done. Also, I'm learning a little bit about engineering, and the guy that built the board was named Harrison. He passed away a couple of years back. But any engineer out there will know anything about a Harrison board. That's the same Harrison. He's from Perry, Georgia. He was about 17 years old. He came up to Macon, and he basically built that complete studio with a beautiful sound. And the sound, you can hear it on Last Kiss, and a couple more sounds on that one. He went on to Nashville when they opened up the Country Music Hall of Fame, he was the one that just actually basically built the soundboard, the first board for them. And one of the other things I got out that studio was how to treat people that are not really musically talented. We had some voices come in there, and Bobby would hear them. He said, well, if you have a hit, that's your nail down. Then he said, we're going to circle file that one, fellas. Everybody knew what that meant. Trash can, here it comes. When you go to the studio, you have to know what you're doing. You can't go in there and make up the song then and change the arrangement or make a pattern. It just doesn't work that way. So I learned all about the techniques of what makes a quality record, what makes an artist a good artist in the studio. It's just a whole new thing. So then I started playing with Johnny Jenkins and the Pine Toppers a little bit after all of this studio knowledge I had, and it worked out great because I was able to actually fit in with the Pine Toppers now without making too many mistakes like I did before. And so what happened, another little interesting thing is Sammy Coleman now leaves with Otis Redding and goes on the road. Now's my spot. I fall into the Pine Toppers band with Johnny Jenkins lead. That is one of the interesting things, one of the high points of my life. I'm playing up in the college circuit. Phil Walden and Alan Walden are booking this. So I'm running the circuit. This is in the 60s. We traveling all up and down the road. Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. We just traveling the Chitlin circuit basically, but we are actually playing more fraternity jobs than we playing Chitlin circuit jobs. The Chitlin circuit was getting ready to wind. They were really winding down after about a 40-year or 50-year run. And you would actually run into some of the clubs in the Chitlin circuit. Like I said, what the Chitlin circuit is a string of clubs that were across the southern part of the United States, and they were all basically died. And so what happened, if you play one club one night, that club owner knew a club owner down the road. You'll stay there and he'll book you on that next club the next night. The next same club owner will do the same thing. They will always give you something like a pot of chitlins because there wasn't much money out there, so you had something to eat while you're rolling. Everything is all rolling and all good because get you a can of Sterno, get you some aluminum foil, you sit on the side of the road. Remember, we're in segregation time now, so you have to eat and run. And you can forget going to a hotel, you sleep in the cars or somewhere, unless some of these ladies, nice, gentle, nice, beautiful ladies, put you up in that house. That didn't happen every night. Sometimes they'll bring food to the gig, sometimes they wouldn't. That's when that pot of chitlins that you had come in hands, because that was the only thing you might get, because you got to leave that show and go by 500 or 600 miles to go and see can you get another gig that was promised to you by that club owner lining it up. Sooner or later, the Waldens picked up on that same thing and started booking bands exactly in that line. And there just got to be a new part of the Chitlin circuit. But that Chitlin circuit was 50 years old when they came around with it. Another one of the interesting things I learned while out there about that time was Sam and Dave would let me be like a section leader, so I could help arrange the music. And we would go into Memphis to Stack's recording studio, all muscle shows, and we would actually be there, sometimes actually playing on some of the sessions. And we'll just be there when the music is actually being made. So I'm learning firsthand from the guys that actually record the music, and I'm on some of it too. And then not only Sam and Dave, we working behind Wilson Pickett, Johnny Taylor, Mavis Staples of the Staples Sing.